What's the next song?
Border Town.
Ooh.
Which, speaking of people that came to the studio, boy.
Some with
my
multiple
gosh.
firearms,
Yeah.
boy.
Right.
So was that right from the beginning of making Border Town? Did Saint always have the idea that we're going to get lap steel on it?
No, because it actually started like as a pure reggae track.
Yeah, totally.
Just like
Really?
just like
Yeah.
strung on like doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Which is the way that we would jam it whenever we'd play that live. which is the
wherever
way
we'd play that live.
Yeah.
Cool. We didn't have steel.
Yeah.
So it was just reggae, and then he's like, why don't we turn this into like a little more country?
Yeah.
Now, this was the moment that I realized that we have to do more than one version on every album. Because as we learned from Kevin Lyman,
Yes.
radio edit for Give It Up.
Right.
We can have both.
Yeah.
This was like your mind expanding, going, all right, we can have that version, but also let's have this version.
Yeah.
But again, time and money, especially in these days,
Yeah.
so we had to kind of like choose one direction.
Yeah.
And so this was the direction. It was the country version.
Yes.
And I don't like it as much as I like the reggae version.
Right.
But people who like that song love it.
Yeah.
And people who don't like it, I'm with.
There's the trade-off.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
Yeah.
If there's not the version we would do or the multiple like
The multiverse.
we kind of have to live on our one plane. What do you call them? Timeline.
Yeah.
Because there is multiple, and somewhere out there's a border town that's just absolutely just. What's his name? Garth Brooks is singing it. You know what I mean? And it's a
Actually, Garth Brooks' version is on this record.
There you go,
Like
exactly.
this is the country version.
But I remember that. I think was that possibly part of like the selling point of the country version was Saint being like, "No, I'm going to get Skunk Baxter."
I believe this was his mind.
from the Doobie Brothers, Skunk Baxter.
Yeah, I think everyone.
Yeah.
Allman Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but Skunk Baxter, we recognized him. He was on the fucking Guitar Player magazines that we were ripping the pages out our whole lives as we were kids. In fucking KTA and SureSafe.
Yeah.
Also Steely Dan.
Yes.
Steely
Yes.
There we go.
I think that's the main one. I was
Banger
thinking of.
after
Yacht Rock.
So when
So
he
funny.
rolled into the studio, you remember Saint being like, "Don't mention anything about weed or anything about any drugs."
Or
the guy,
politics.
because the guy's a
or
federal
government.
Yeah, because the guy's a federal agent.
And
I am an FBI agent.
This is post 2001 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, things were
Got it.
serious. We couldn't joke on a plane anymore.
No.
So he came in strapped with a full gun,
A loaded gun.
a loaded
Yes.
gun,
Legally.
yes, on his belt,
He had
in
to carry it.
California.
He
not
had to
Florida,
carry it. No.
not fucking
Yeah.
Texas.
and he came in and whipped that out. And then, what do you think lyrically too? That song's still kind of a hearkening back to being away from Hawaii.
You could look at it like that, but I actually wrote it because on my trips to Europe.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Like when you were stuck and we were talking
Exactly,
about
right?
the van only going in reverse.
Exactly. So yeah, exactly.
yeah.
On that
Yeah.
trip, Melanie taught me on like, because it's so funny. It's like America is the United States.
Yeah.
Sure is.
But what you can do is like the way that we were traveling, we were like noticing like, wait, this is like a whole nother country.
Yeah.
And so, and Brett, you're going to love this because you live in Europe now. It's those border towns that are just on, they're their own entity. They're their own country.
Yeah.
So you got like Spain, France, and the
Vast
region in
country,
between.
Yeah.
Own country.
100%.
It's a border town.
Yeah.
And so
Language,
it's kind of like you're in between. You're in between different culture and lifestyle.
Right.
And so I'm right there. In this point in my life, I'm in the border town of my life.
Right.
So I'm just kind of like Hawaii, California.
Yeah.
That's my border town.
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah,
between that.
Yeah.
And so that is
That's
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
I
That
would've never-
that was the lyrics for
that's
that.
Good question. I didn't know that. And you're 100% right. It's not either or.
Yes.
It's its own. It is its own place or country or border town.
It is. It really is.
crazy.
Yeah. But of course, like, that's the best thing about music. Like your interpretation of it is yours.
Yeah. Oh, that is the best thing about music.
Isn't it though?
Yeah.
If people come up to you like, hey, that song, you're like, that it's not about that, but you're like, that's sick for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
badass.
That's so rad.
Yeah.
And then moving on to Wanna Know You, this was To Be, right?
Oh man. Wow. Yes.
Good
Yes.
memory.
Now it's very good.
Yeah. Which did To Be, the original version, ended up on To the Max, right?
later in the future.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it was from the past.
Yes.
Same, but different.
But then it turned into, well, it started as 2B and then turned into Wanna Know You.
Kind of
And
by
then in the
force.
future,
Yeah,
came back as 2B
Yes.
on To The Max,
that's true.
like another track on this album did.
Which is a wild thing because we didn't talk about demos as much in Conatown when we described that because
Right.
you're a young band, you're playing rehearsals, that's your demos.
Right.
You don't live different.
Right.
You know, you're all together, you're one place. But you're right, that was a gift, a little recording machine. What do we say, like a 4-track or 8-track?
Yeah.
Are you talking about your Boss 8-track, the silver one?
Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was a digital board.
It was you could burn a CD. Yes.
Yes,
It
it was.
was,
Yeah, it was a digital board.
It was technically but you couldn't hook it up to a computer, but it was a little computer, right?
Yeah.
It's like
Yes.
a hard disk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Technology was changing.
Yeah.
Fast.
So
Yeah.
instead of little
Powerful
cassette
little
tapes-
unit right
yeah, no. And so that's when I kind of learned a little bit more about recording, whatever, and doing
Right.
those demos on there. But you're right. The first demo was like, program the drums, boy. Just
Yeah.
terrible.
Yep.
Sounds bad. Oh, you got to play the bass. Okay, shake. Oh, you got to play guitar. Uh-oh. You know, whatever. All that put into one little track. And then I don't know how it got turned into Wanna Know You, though. Except maybe
I think in the garage, in
You think
Annie's
so?
garage,
I think
right?
I think we just hammered it out during that pre-production when Saint stayed with us for
Yeah.
a week.
because
Yeah.
they're different songs. But I also remember this too. That this is where I'm kind of pushing towards is Saint was kind of, but what else do you have to say? You know, kind of like challenging us, not in a Korvac way, but in like lyrically. Remember, are you guys just a Son in the Fun band?
Yeah.
Or you kind of deal. So I think it was challenging. You sure you don't want this to be a country song with lap steel cloth? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I can't
Yeah.
remember. We were like, oh,
Like,
these
yes,
songs
Saint,
seem
I'm
darker.
pretty sure I
Sure you want
never
this to
want
be a
that.
protest
Sure,
song?
sure you
Yeah.
want to
Oh, coming up.
Yeah.
Yes,
You
go
sure
coming up.
You sure you want to put these woes on? They don't feel very dark and sexy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see these choices.
Why do you sound like Will Arnett?
I don't know. I don't know. What's his real voice sound like? I can't. It's been too long. I miss him. But that we were growing, but I feel like he was also pushing too, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what you're supposed to do. You push
Yeah.
them to higher
Like
or lower.
like Kravac, great
Yeah.
teachers aren't necessarily polite, nice, or friendly.
Right.
No.
Great teachers are pushing you out of your comfort zone,
Right.
so you grow.
And I
Right.
feel like maybe he started there as far as like, what about this lyric? Or
Yep.
what about, could you say more in that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that-
Which it seems like Wanna Know You, the version on In With Old, seems like it's way more stripped down than 2B was, though, right?
I can't really remember it. I'm sure like if I'm sitting at the console, you mess with every little thing, you probably put too much on, too
Yeah,
much
yeah,
salsa.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
cooking
yeah,
at home
yeah.
is where you go to a restaurant, like there's your beef and
Yeah.
there's your veggie and there's your whatever. So he probably stripped it out more.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what 2B necessarily was about. But by the end, keep in mind, we were watching, it's not porno, but
Right.
the entire time.
Art.
So
Just
art.
exotic. What did I call it? Cinematography?
Yeah. It's something I get that I hear over and over again whenever you talk about this song is like, I love that lyric. There's a little bit of cum above her left eye. And I'm like, no, it's no. And I just stopped correcting people because, you know, if you've written songs like, why don't you have some dirty out sex with me or whatever, I get it.
Yeah.
But
you're-
it's not.
No,
It's-
that's not. Never mind.
she had a little bit of karma above her left eye, came in the shape of a scar.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's sick. It's a little bit come above your. I'm like, and I just like that's a better lyric, I guess. I don't know.
Well, the fun part about just you, like me listening to you say that, is that you say karma, which everyone thinks is come, but later in the song you say came. In
Really?
the shape, no, came in the
Came
shape,
in the
of,
shape
a scar.
of a scar.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
come
yeah.
and came. So it's yeah,
Genius.
yeah, it's pre and post.
Oh boy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Little happy accidents like that, and oh my god.
Speaking of
Yes, it's
uncomfort,
right after. Right after.
speaking of uncomfort,
Oh, no.
here we go. Keep your head banging.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Which started as Dust on My Shoes.
Also,
Which, by the way, was dub rock.
Yes.
Because there was so much of like a creepy kind of reggae vibe for the
Yeah.
verses.
Yeah. Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, 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 dun.
yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have happened, but if we didn't write like things like Ash, get a little more, try to give more a little more fancy.
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. But I'm telling you, with that metal, that is what kind of, for lack of a better term, screwed us over. Because Saint was so hopped up on that riff.
One of my favorite riffs.
like-
I was proud of that riff. That was by Randy Rhoads.
And Saint was
you know?
just like, oh God, this is just so metal. This is just so.
Was so excited, and then in the same song, so disappointed.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense to me because he did so many songs with 311 that are like Dust on My Shoes.
Yes.
You know, like there's
Totally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like you understand where we're going.
Yeah.
You understand where we're going, and
That's
it's
a good
sick.
point.
And
Hey,
it wasn't like
you made
Yeah.
Transistor and Beautiful Disaster,
Yeah.
which
Yes.
is like, yeah.
Thank
and
you.
Then,
And even with like when you think about the even the lyrical content of Dust on My Shoes, the original version, there wasn't any like jokes or anything about it. It wasn't like a song that he could be like, we can't be joking around with it. Like, you know what I mean?
no.
Like it was so like
it was a realization
why?
of what was going on in the world around.
Oh, that's exactly it. Again, probably because it's his, this is a product of the 60s.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
a revolutionary, right? And so after 2001 and all of the things that were happening in the world, he probably saw this time of life, which by the way, the
Right.
world's always ending. So it's just like, right. It's like he saw this time, it's like, you know what? If these boys have a voice and I want to make them uncomfortable and grow them, this could be the track in his mind. And I'm projecting, this could be the track that sets them as revolutionary rockers or have like a Neil Young of 2001.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
You know what I
my
mean?
favorite.
That's
Right.
heavy.
Exactly.
That's
so
heavy, but makes so much sense.
and so I believe that he like found so much strength in the riff that he wanted to like make it some protest tune.
Yeah.
And
So-
and just make this, and that is hard.
So let's get this straight.
With the Sun and the Fun
How do
Band.
we say this to you?
So to make sure that we didn't release some protest song and try and become like the Kona Rage Against the Machine.
Yes.
Not that we have anything against
No.
protest songs.
No.
we
No,
love
love
Rage
them.
Against the
Yes,
Machine
we
more
love
than
Rage
anything.
Against the
Love.
Machine.
But
Rage
that
Against.
is not who we are.
No.
And that's not what that song was about.
Yeah.
So we were forced to quickly, Basil, in one 45-minute hour session, run away from Saint
To go upstairs,
into the sneaky attic,
right, where all the equipment
gear
was.
was.
Thank you.
and commit to rewriting the song
Into a joke song.
into a joke
Which
song.
is so odd.
And-
because knowing us as a band,
Yeah.
like we love comedy, we love jokes.
We love jokes.
That to turn this song around, it turned into a joke song where you would think it would be the opposite of trying to turn one of our joke songs more serious.
Exactly.
Like-
and a joke song we didn't want to write.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't want to write a joke song.
No.
It wasn't a joke song. But for the love of God, we realized we had to get out of that control room.
I remember Bret looking at me,
Yes.
brow sweating.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And then he's like, I gotta leave.
Yeah.
So he leaves,
Yep.
standing outside the door in the sun. I walk out. I'm like,
It's coming with
I'm
me.
like, so like, what are the options?
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna rewrite this thing? Like, really?
Yeah.
And he's like, let's just go upstairs. So we go upstairs and we just start having fucking fun.
Yeah.
That's it. We're just having fun now.
Thank
Yeah.
God.
And we're just now, like, one line opened it up, the floodgate was open, and then the lines kept following after that.
Yeah.
Meat whip, all these kind of things.
Anything.
Anything that,
Kobe.
like, every line encouraged the next line to be just ridiculous.
Yeah.
To
Absolutely.
get away from the agenda of making this something we're not.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Saint, where was Saint? Just downstairs?
Downstairs, mixing.
Writing
Also-
his own version.
Yeah.
He's writing his own version while watching
Towers of
Andrew
Falling.
Blake exotic cinematography.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
But meanwhile, he's not saying he's writing about the towers have fallen and the missiles are striking.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
people
yeah.
are oppressed. And Colin and I are like, that's why my brow was up here.
Yeah.
Sweating.
Yeah.
And
just like the
watched-
sweat that someone gets before they faint.
Oh,
Yes.
God.
That kind
If
of
you
thing.
could imagine what this would have done to our careers.
pressure. Just the pressure. Just the pressure.
But you listen to this, right?
Yeah.
So the stomach is the first
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah.
So I ran away.
The heart, second brain.
Yeah.
Mind, third brain.
Yeah.
That, fourth brain.
He saw the panic. He comes out. He was like, let's just do this.
Yeah.
And thank God you did, because we went away and we made a joke out of something. But the bummer is, Every time I think about that, Dust on My Shoes, like we loved playing that live. We had a fun blend.
It was one of the crowd favorites on the bar days.
I remember like the Margaritaville days.
Exactly right.
Like we'd play that.
China Beach, like it was great. We've got recordings of it back then from Ramey on mini disc.
Yeah. Well, and also you can refer to the future and on 2 to Max if anyone wants to hear what the song originally sounded like. It's there for you.
Right. And
check it out. And it's relevant. Even to this day, the message is relevant. Of like, hey, what is that? And it's just a sticker.
Yeah.
and it's not like Keep Your Head Banging's like a bad song. It's just not as good as Dust on My Shoes.
No.
And that's the real bummer.
We didn't even get to record it in the style that we wanted. We just made it a joke song.
In a weird way, it didn't stand a chance.
Right.
No, exactly.
But Dust on My Shoes would have been one of the better tracks on this record.
Yeah.
Because it was authentic.
Yeah.
Lyrically, it's about Bret. Correct me if I'm wrong. But all of like the parties and all of like the fish bowl or the fish bucket or Hennessy's or any of those bars, it was a realization, again, like for me at the office, of what's adulting is.
Right.
It was the switch of it, right? And so you don't have to be a genius to figure out the name. And it's just like, so it was an authentic growing up song. And that's what 100%. I really missed about Keep Your Head Banging, where we had to pivot so hard to just make a joke.
Well, it's because
like a dad joke out of something that could have been
something that could have been
Dust on Your Shoes was honest.
Yes.
Where
true.
Keep Your Head Banging was
survival.
Thank you. Yeah.
Really well put. But guess what? That was the sacrificial, essentially. Dust on My Shoes is the ghost tune of In With the Old, just like 4 was for Conatown.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? For whatever reason.
That's 2 great songs too.
Okay, and then going back to the spirit of having an acoustic tune.
Here we go. Here we go.
Your 45.
Here we go.
All right. You got to have the acoustic tune.
Your 45. And I remember, again, London.
Yeah.
This is all about being overseas. Yep.
I remember that.
Yep.
You told me that.
And you know, like, again, going back to Don Wesley, that record collection, and when he told me that these are like, there's 45s in his collection that no one even knows in Jamaica because it's just like some artist that comes in, prints like 10, and then just gets
Bales.
That's
the
it.
test copies.
Boom.
Yeah.
Telling you.
A song that will never be heard. Ever. And so that's what my romance with 45s are. By the way, this is like pre-vinyl coming back.
Right.
Like as much as it was mainstream.
Yeah.
But we were all into vinyl because of the Don Wesley.
Thank you for pointing that out. This is not a hipster. Hipsters didn't exist yet.
No.
This is not a cool thing because vinyl, it's really cool and it's fun to see it come back. But we have to validate this, that in this record collection this secret library of the Dawn that we had, you found so much inspiration there. But how funny. First, you're finding inspiration for a song like Stone Love.
Yep.
But now you're finding inspiration about other 45s and whatever 45s. And so many of those records I didn't even know what the 45 was.
Well,
we didn't have a record.
We were tapes and CD kids.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it's so funny you're finding another thing romantically in a different time of your life.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so and 45 meaning it's basically a small vinyl that was a single.
Yep.
Thank you.
And since you only needed to put one song on it, you could put it at 45 RPMs.
Yes.
That's
instead
what it was,
of 33.
RPMs. Oh.
So you could essentially, I think you can fit like more sound or more sound and more room or something because you can spin it faster and it makes the sound bigger. I think is the
very nerdy. Kids now
Yeah.
would know what that means.
Yes.
Technically, I got to bow out. I don't even know that yet.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that the Slowly Rocking You All the Time, Baby Put On Your 45, which is almost kind of like dancing with someone with... You know, like how people have a song they want to share with you in a special moment? Hey, check this one out. You know, like just imagine like Temple of the Dog all night thing. If that was on a 45, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to put this on. Let's hang out. Yeah. So that was that.
That's so cool.
But here was another saint thing about that song. I could only do it one take all the way through.
Oh, yeah. Authenticity.
Oh, because he wanted you to do it?
I could only do that song if it was one take all the way through. And he's talking vocal, guitar, same time.
Yep.
One take.
Yep.
And it took like 8 times.
Yeah.
But got it.
Hey,
Fuck yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
But we got it.
Got the W, baby.
Yeah.
Hey, and that's better than the 20 times each song for Conatown drum takes I was doing. So
Hey.
we were getting better.
We're
getting better.
slowly improving.
But that's a fresh way to record. All these ways are to record and what to
Yeah.
consider. Running away from songs.
Yeah.
Whatever. Accepting the darkness.
Yeah.
Kind of is a good way to say
Yeah.
it. In with the old, it always reminds me of that. Even on the artwork in the
Exactly.
CDs, it's dark. But even our pictures, weren't those all black and
All
white?
black and
Yeah.
white and dark.
Ah.
Yeah, it was cohesive. It was an album. We were really aware of albums.
Yeah, we were.
and you know of what makes an album.
Yeah. And
A
then
skit, songs, and one acoustic.
and one
song.
acoustic. Always just got to be one acoustic.
It's
That's
just
your
there.
voice.
It's just there.
And then the next song, Punk Rock Cowboy.
Oh
though,
yeah.
Oh, there's more. Oh,
is
good.
the actual most tongue-in-cheek part of this whole record, I think.
Right.
Because obviously Keep Your Head Banging is very tongue-in-cheek, but it wasn't meant to be that way.
No.
That's
It was-
funny.
that was survival, like you were saying.
Yeah. That ended up
Where-
being on there, but that was never. You're so right.
Yeah. Where
So
Punk Rock Cowboy was always meant to be
Yeah.
tongue-in-cheek. It kind of
Fun.
ended up...
No effectsy.
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. So look at this. The border town didn't mean to be all country.
Right.
Yeah.
Kind of got tinged by. Shows you the mistakes and the outtakes and the demos
Yeah.
can lead somewhere.
That's right, because Skunk Baxter was on Punk Rock Cowboy,
And, hey,
too.
let's just throw him on
Oh,
here.
that's right.
Yeah.
We have a legend in the studio. What do you not let him play on this too?
Yeah.
But it's so funny because that one was supposed to be probably an extension or the next version of like a Give It Up, where you're meaning to be a joke song,
Right.
right?
And
Keep Your Head Banging. No, not at all.
No.
It was called something else. It was a different song. But look what it kind of spread out. Like,
Yeah.
Punk Rock Cowboy is one of the tracks too. Like the old fans, they're constantly asking for it.
Oh, totally.
They're
Yeah.
always there, whether it's a DM on Instagram
Yeah.
or a comment in Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever it is,
Yeah.
or seeing them live.
Yeah.
It is like it
Yeah.
to this day is
And
a great like
pretty
And
wild.
that one occasionally made, like, I think like 5, 6, 7 years ago we were
We
playing
were
that.
playing, yeah,
I think
no.
every like 4 or 5 years that one seems to come
We
back
get a little
every
something.
once in a while.
it's gonna have to come back this
yeah,
year.
it'll
You
come
know
back
what?
again
Yeah.
for
It came
sure.
authentically because you know what? That song is a song that's as close to as a Hawaiian contemporary song as I've been able to write because I learned that song or what would become that song from Kekoa Lip.
Oh no way!
Trying to teach your boy, right? You know,
Dun, 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 dun,
he was
dun,
always
dun.
confused because he is such a great artist. He's so naturally talented,
so good.
beautiful
Yeah.
voice, good to. He was entertaining, walking through our high school with a ukulele.
Oh, gosh.
since we were kids,
Classmate.
shining so
Yeah.
good,
Tall, good looking,
so good, handsome,
yeah, handsome bugger.
boy. But he couldn't understand why Pepper was doing what it was doing because he's like, this is not very good what you did. Like,
Hey.
and on paper, he's not wrong. He's a real musician.
The Paniologe would not
Paniologe.
be proud of this one, boy.
No. So for whatever reason, I was obsessed with this. He'd come over to our house, but later we paid him back though because
Yeah.
Annie gave him his
Her daughter.
wife.
Oh.
And she became our mom,
Yeah.
and she inherited him as a son.
Exactly.
So it's a circle.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Keeps going that way.
So it is, and now he's got 20 kids, and it's a beautiful. he's restarting the new Hawaii.
Grandkids.
But he was trying to teach a progression to me, and I was like, I was
progression,
obsessed with
boy.
it, and he just wouldn't leave. I wouldn't leave him alone. I punished him until he taught it to me. Ding, 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 ding. I was like, this just sounds like. He's like, yeah, I know. I already taught it to you.
Yeah.
And that whole thing came from that. But by the time he came to write the next part of the song, I don't know what to do. He's already flown home to Hawaii.
Yeah.
He can't teach me any more fucking Paniolo songs.
Shake We Go Punk Rock Boy.
Yeah, so there, exactly.
Exactly.
Back to Pecker,
Yeah.
you know, like.
But it's funny because that one went through Saint and didn't get filtered much, right? It was more just
I
like
think it's Keikoa's.
Yeah.
Thank God for Keikoa because it was
more just
enough.
like Saint was like, let's just make this thing sound as good as possible because
Exactly.
it's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there. Let
Yeah.
it go. That's so funny. Thank
Yeah.
you, Keikoa. I
But
appreciate that.
hey, Punk Rock Cowboy, you're coming back soon.
Come on.
You're coming back with us soon.
Yep.
Get your hat in your loincloth.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's so cool, man.
That's funny.
I never knew that.
And then finally, look what I found.
Right.
Ooh.
Which, by the way, like I remember when we did this at Soundwave.
Yeah, because you had the guitar. The
Rick's.
The riff, right? Right. We did this at Soundwave sometime then when we came back.
Yeah.
And we were just able to.
Oh.
Yeah, this is later Soundwave.
Yeah.
And we went and we like, we're like, just doing some work and stuff. By
By the way, Soundwave Music was the premier musical equipment shop. It still is the premier
in Kailua
musical
Kona.
equipment shop.
It's
of
not a
Kailua
studio,
Kona.
even though we recorded there.
Yeah.
Now-
it is the premier.
Rick, shout out to Rick.
Shout out Rick.
Chama, all the boys.
Yeah.
All boys. Oh,
Dylan.
Dylan.
All right,
All
Dylan.
right. My dad.
Exactly.
Fa.
All right. Let's go.
The
Let's
law
go.
fa.
Let's go.
So look what I found was like, okay, so this was another Saint decision.
Yep.
Because I wanted the guitar line, da-da-dun-dun, da-da-dun-dun. That was a horn line.
Oh.
And I wanted this, and I wanted it to take it like more of like ska.
Yeah,
You ska 7 or whatever it was going to be.
Something more in with the old.
Like that. I wanted to like kind of like Peter Gabriel's Sledgehammer.
Okay.
Nice
I
one.
wanted to do more of that.
Yeah.
But Saint was so anti horns anywhere on this record that I could not break the door down.
Yeah,
There
there's
no-
no horns
horn
at
on
all.
There's not one horn on this record. Like not one. And I fought.
Not even a Dawn horn.
Not even a-
not even a Dawn horn. Wow. Swoosh. Good one. As Jeff would say, swoosh.
Yeah, D.
But so look what I found. Never sonically, I never liked it just because the guitar could not be the horn that I
Yeah.
wanted. And basically the guitar was just going to be kind of like, it's like a little too shuffly, rocky, right?
God, so much learning experience.
So much going on here, right?
It's so
With
funny.
producers.
Yeah.
But that's you would say like that's one of your not favorite choices that happen and got recorded that way, and you're not not your favorite look on that album.
Well, the sonics were wrong, right? For me on that song
yeah.
particularly. Like
Yeah.
it's not a guitar part. That's
so funny.
You know, it's a
That's
horn
so
line.
funny.
Yeah.
But what was nice was at least we found middle ground with the chorus. The I
Yeah.
know, yes, I
Right,
know.
right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
See, and also
Yeah.
really soaring open chorus, kind of like "Are You Down?" a little bit. You know what I mean? It's
Yep.
got that
Okay.
real.
Yeah.
Kind of like a new trick, I guess we learned on there.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's not your favorite because that's one of my favorite songs on that whole album. It just pisses me off because I'm like, fuck, that's the one I've been trying to think of to play.
Yeah.
And we always forget.
Yeah.
And there's other ones on there. There's Sitting on the Curb and Nice Time, whatever, take it. But like that's part of the evolution. I was always like,
Hey, we're gonna find Willie
that one's
Waldman.
sick.
We'll pull him back out.
Yeah.
We'll do it for a show.
that guitar riff fucks. I like that one.
It's-
That was gonna accompany Dust on My Shoes riff if it
yeah.
didn't get turned into.
It's just interesting because I'm like thinking about when we move forward to the next record to No Shame.
Yeah.
It seems like everything we learned from
Comes
making
to
this comes to fruition in No Shame.
Oh yes.
Because there was so much that we were like, oh, we should have done this. We should have pushed harder here. Oh, we shouldn't have done this. We should have. You know what I mean? That was like our final
Yeah.
phase of learning
Yeah.
what we want, kind of.
And,
Okay.
You know what I mean?
And finding the courage to say that to legendary multi-platinum motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Who are guiding your cock, not blocking it.
With 2 under our belt, we entered the third. Sorry, actually, 3 under our belt.
3.
With Giving It.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, I mean, that's kind of a glorified demo to me still.
Yeah.
3 under our belt, but still important. The 4th time around is where we're like, actually, this is how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And it's
You
interesting.
find your voice.
Yeah, totally. It's interesting too because we enter this next phase that we're going to talk about in the next episode.
Yep.
With more traction, aka Give It Up hits the radio. And so I'm sure
That's a
that
good
does
point,
something to
too.
the people we're working
That's a
with
good
too, where they're
point.
like, oh, we're working with an established band now.
Hold on. These people are writing and recording and performing nationally this song.
Yes.
I didn't write that song.
Yes.
I didn't produce
exactly.
that song.
So there's
But they did.
Bingo.
Exactly.
Bingo.
And
Done.
that's a story for another time.
We'll see you next episode.
In the old.
This is